Hello and welcome back to the Enough Mom podcast. I'm Jennifer Bryant. You're listening to episode 114, the permission slip you've been waiting for. Mamas, have you been waiting for permission to be who you are, to do what you want to do within reason, of course, if you're raising young children? Many of us forget who we are in the midst of all the chaos and upheaval. I want us to return or make at least solid attempts to return to the person we were before we had kids. Don't let go of her. But as you learn and as you walk in wisdom and jump on this crazy train of motherhood, don't forget to remember who you are, what you love, how you used to dream. And maybe your dreams have changed, and that's okay. But in today's episode, I want to give you a special permission slip. Not that you need one, but often we think we do. We think we need to wait for others' permission to live the life that we want to live. What I'm talking about is the permission to want more, to dream bigger, or even just to prioritize yourself. Mama, can I tell you something? You might be waiting for a permission slip that is never coming. Permission to dream bigger, to want more, permission to prioritize yourself. And I know this because I waited too. I waited for my kids to be older. I waited for my husband to be ready to tell me I could. I waited for someone else to tell me I was mom enough to go for the things I actually wanted to go for. But that permission slip never arrived until I wrote it myself. About 10 years ago, I started a blog called Practical Family. And I know it was 10 years ago because there is a challenge trend going on right now around Instagram called the 2016 challenge. And because it's 2026, the challenge was to talk about where you were in 2016. 10 years ago seems like a lifetime to a lot of us, especially having lived through the pandemic. A lot of us have changed the way that we think about things, people, the world, and a lot of us have forgotten the woman we used to be. I know for myself, my kids were little then. I look back at these pictures and I'm going, gosh, you two grew up so fast. And I know every mom says that, but really, we have changed a lot in 10 years. And I bet if you're anything like me, you've changed the way that you think about how your parenting journey was going. When I started this blog 10 years ago, I had no idea it would turn into a podcast. I had no idea I would then rebrand it into what this podcast is now, because my direction was not as clear as it was back then. And I bet it'll get even more clear as the years go by. But back then, all that I knew was that I loved to communicate. I loved to teach. And I knew I wasn't going back into the classroom anytime soon. So what else was there? Now, listen, I'm not saying that every mom out there has to be a mommy blogger, and that's certainly not what I was going for. I just wanted to learn about how to communicate on this medium. And it's led to such amazing opportunities to meet wonderful people, to hone my communication skills and get more confident in what I want to do. And I want the same for you, Mama. I started the Enough Mom podcast because I have this ache in my heart for mothers who don't believe in themselves, basically, who let life just take them over and motherhood just swallows you and you feel like you're at the mercy of these little people running around, these little people that you made running around. But that doesn't have to be the case. You can change your mindset around that and still hold on to the things that make you you, the things that make you who you are. You know, the fascinating thing is you are probably a confident, capable woman on the inside. You're probably even accomplished. You're probably more accomplished than I am. You've probably done amazing things out in the world that I wouldn't have dared to do. But you're in this season right now where you're learning to take care of other humans and help their dreams to come true. But don't forget about yours. By now, you've probably led teams, managed events, organized budgets. You're probably running your entire household right now. Am I right? Well, there's this thing when we become mothers, all of a sudden we fall into all of this self-doubt. And maybe it's those maternal hormones kicking in and everything becomes dangerous and scary because now we have little people to protect, right? So while that is true, we cannot let the paralyzing self-doubt carry us away from who we were meant to be on our own. Why does this happen? Well, I think because the cultural messaging around motherhood can be suffocating. This pressure to always be grateful, to sacrifice everything for the sake of your kids, because that's what makes a good mom. Or if you're exhausted, join the club. We're all exhausted and we're all trudging through it. Some days are worse than others. There was research done on maternal identity crisis, and it shows that 80% of women feel like they lose their identity in motherhood. They report a significant loss in sense of self in the first 5 years of being a mom. We literally lose touch of who we are outside of mom. And in that loss, we start believing that we need permission to want things outside of our children's needs. Let's get specific about what we're actually waiting for. What's the permission we actually need? I think we need someone to confirm that we're not being selfish. We want someone, our spouse, our friend, our mother, our pastor, to tell us that it's okay to want more. Wanting to start a business, go back to school, start a hobby, anything for us that doesn't have to involve our kids. I mean, it can. You can have fun with your kids. There's nothing wrong with either side of this coin. It's okay to enjoy motherhood. I'm not saying that we should not enjoy our time with our kids. Of course we should. But what I am saying is not at the expense of what makes you unique, what makes you truly light up inside. Have you thought about that lately? I think the second thing we're waiting for is the proof that our kids won't suffer if we choose anything outside of them. It's like this inner security that moms are asking for, that your kids will still be okay even if you choose yourself. Like, take a bubble bath, for goodness sake. Your kids will still be okay. But there's this nagging feeling inside us, especially if we don't quite trust our partner to do the job that we would as moms, right? We're afraid to do anything to just break away. Practice breaking away, practice trusting, even if, kids end up with messy faces. I mean, sometimes we just gotta let things happen so that we can care for ourselves. Put our own oxygen mask on, as it were, and stop trying to control every little thing. I think the truth is we're terrified that if we stop sacrificing, that things will fall apart. Because moms are conditioned to sacrifice everything. Their bodies, their attention, their energy, everything. I also think we're waiting for external validation that we deserve more. Oh, that phrase, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. That phrase, we deserve more, makes me cringe a little bit. And I have to stop and ask myself, Jen, why are you cringing? Why do you cringe at deserve? The idea of you deserve to be treated with respect, right? No one would cringe at that. Of course, we know that we are innately deserving of respect, especially self-respect. But this idea of deserving more, I think, comes from a deeper seated belief around our worth. And especially if you grew up in any kind of faith community, you may have been trained to understand that you need to put yourself lower and always be the servant of others. Consider where the messaging might be coming from that causes you to think less of yourself, because it may not be in the humble way that you're hoping. It may be in a more self-suppressive way. Let's think about that. Hold on to that thought as we keep talking. Deep down, you may not believe that you're worth investing in unless someone else affirms it. It's like we need someone to say, yes, you're good enough. Yes, you've earned this. A+ gold star. Yes, Jen, you do deserve to pursue your dreams. Yes, I give you permission to carry on with that project that's been on your heart forever. You are clearly not good enough to give yourself permission, so I'm going to give it to you. So where is that person? I've been trying to find that person. I've tried to look for that person in my husband. And every time my husband looks at me and he's like, why are you asking me? Just do what you want to do, Or maybe if you're like me, you're also waiting for permission for it to be the right time. The right time that doesn't exist. Oh, I'll do it when the kids are older, when they're out of school, when we're less busy. Now, there are some things. I've seriously thought about going back to school for a master's degree, and I definitely don't want to start something like that before my kids are graduated. My kids are almost graduated. My daughter this year, my son next year, possibly. So there are some things that I've said, no, I'm going to wait so that I know I have more time for me to really focus on it, because I don't want to miss the stage in life they're at right now, right? We're being reasonable here. But just like when we decided to have these kids, there is not a perfect time to decide, like even when to have kids, you know? So when is the perfect time going to be to pursue the dream or the project that you want to pursue? Maybe it's as simple as planting a garden. It doesn't have to be a huge garden. I have a bunch of plants and flowers and pots outside, just kind of, little science experiments for myself. But would I love to have a larger garden? Yes. Would I love to do things on a grander scale? Yes. But sometimes it's worth starting bigger projects small to see if you can maintain them, So we'll talk more about that later. But the point is, there's not a perfect time. I'm going to give you some examples from friends of mine who've given me permission to share their stories. My friend Sarah has a photography business, okay? She was an incredible photographer already before she had kids. She had a successful side business doing family portraits, but then when she had a new baby, she put all of that aside and focused on her newborn. And she kept telling herself that she'd pick it up again once the kids were old enough and in school. But that was 12 years ago. Her youngest child just started kindergarten, I think. And she said she recently pulled out her camera equipment again just to realize that, oh my gosh, the photography world has evolved. It's digital now. It's all different equipment. It's things that if I had kept up with it a little bit even, I would have known to update my equipment. She shared with me that she missed photography and she'd get a little bit bitter every time she'd watch Facebook and scroll on Facebook, and she'd see family photo sessions going, I used to take the best ones. I remember this spot I used to take these families to, and oh, I really miss it. It was just fun. It was a fun creative project for her that she made a living at, It was, at the time it was side money, but she was still able to make an income doing that, but she loved it. Now she tells me, I didn't need to wait 12 years to pick something like that up again. She goes, I could have done like newborn sessions really easily out of my apartment with just a little backdrop, and they're simple. It could have been a simpler setup, just maybe not what I was doing before, but I could have set it up differently. She goes, I could have done home sessions. I could have done things indoors that were more conducive to my kids napping, but I didn't. I was waiting for permission for it to be the right time, for my kids to be the right age. But it was just this idea in her mind that she's thought of it and then went with that instead of thinking of the possibilities in between. Then there's my friend Jessica. She dropped out of college when she was 22, I think. She was like 2 classes away from her degree. And every time she tells me the story, I go, just finish the 2, right? Why didn't you just finish? But she honestly thought she had time. She goes, I'll finish someday. And it wasn't until she was sitting with her daughter, who was about to graduate from high school herself, she's helping her fill out college applications, that she realized, gosh, I never did it. And in her case, she had 2 kids, and it wasn't like the kids kept her busy every moment of every day. She had a lot of margin in her life, and she was happy raising kids. But she was also waiting for permission for somebody to tell her that it would be worth it. And now that she's older, she's, I think, approaching her 40s. She feels like if she went back to school now, what would she use her degree on? At this point, she's kind of in a state of grieving of what opportunities she may have had even to help the family out or something with a finished degree. This is kind of a toss-up situation sometimes, and I'll do another episode on this idea actually, because we're finding out now that degrees aren't always necessary to do the things that we want to do, right? But at the same time, my friend Jess was like holding herself back from doing pretty creative things that she thought she needed to finish this degree for. And because she just, never went back to school, she said, I'll do that dream later. When in fact, she could have done different creative things. I think her degree was in architecture or something. So being an architect isn't the only thing you can do with training like that, right? You can do many other things. But at this point, she just felt like she wasted her time just saying maybe this, maybe that, and to no avail. And then there's my friend Nikki. Nikki used to be a triathlete. She used to run everything from 5Ks to triathlons. I think she even tried the Honolulu Marathon at one point. And she did all this before she had kids. She loved working out. She says, doing this gives me so much clarity and energy. But then when she had kids, she stopped being as active as, understandably so. And she always said, I'll go back to it. I'll go back to it. But it got harder and harder and harder to make that lifestyle a part of her current motherhood lifestyle, because she was thinking it had to sort of be all or nothing. She started to feel really disconnected from her body, and then she developed a type of anxiety. And she goes, Jen, I know this is because I'm not moving like I used to, right? She goes, I don't want to necessarily do the triathlete stuff. She goes, I might eventually. But she misses the energy that it gave her. And she wants that back now. So you know what? She started just jogging, running 20 minutes a day, and slowly she's building back up. And she feels amazing. Nikki was waiting to do something that took less time than sitting and scrolling on social media. 20 minutes a day. I'm trying to follow her example now. 20 minutes a day. Can I be more and more and more active? I have a little spin bike in my room. I can just hop on that. But do I? No. So I'm going to start doing the 20 minutes a day and follow her lead. But we're all thinking that we need permission to do these things. No, we just need to give permission to ourselves and say, self, I'm going to start doing this because I want it for me, not to prove myself to anyone else, not to look good for, my high school reunion or whatever. I want to do it because I want to feel better in my body. Let me say this, Mama. Deferred dreams become dreams denied. It's easy to build resentment toward the people we love most when we are spending most of our time sacrificing what we would rather be doing. Mamas, we don't want to model self-abandonment for our kids. We don't want to teach them that mothers don't matter, that women sacrifice everything, and that maybe if they're girls especially, that their own needs will become irrelevant too. Come on, that's not the messaging here. That's not what we want to pass on, is it? That's not what I want to pass on. So I'm going to do something with you right now. I'm going to write your permission slip. But really what I'm doing is I'm giving you permission to give yourself permission. Here's how we're going to do it. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what would you do if you knew you had full permission? Don't filter this. Don't make it realistic. Just dream. Just dream. Honestly, would you start a business? Would you go back to school? Would you take an art class? Join the gym? Would you learn an instrument? Would you travel alone, maybe? Would you hire help? Would you set boundaries with your extended family? Whatever comes to mind first, that's probably the thing you've been waiting for permission to do. When I asked myself this question a couple years ago, my answer was I would start a podcast about motherhood and mental health. And I kept telling myself, Jen, you can't talk about mental health, you can't talk about emotional health until you become a licensed counselor. And I ran that by a couple of women, and they said, why do you think that? You can talk about whatever you want to talk about, as long as I have the disclaimer in my show notes that I am not a licensed counselor. And I never mean for anything I say to be therapeutic in any way. This is just one mom sharing to another mom, right? You can podcast, you can write a book about whatever you want. And hopefully, if you're doing it with enough integrity, you're sharing truth and not untruth, but that's up to you. Really, I was waiting for someone to say, yeah, Jen, you should do this. And here's how you should do it. I love that meme that goes around on Instagram that's like, when I was young, I didn't want to be told what to do. But now that I'm an adult, I want to be told in graphic detail exactly what to do. We don't trust ourselves the older that we get. We give me the play-by-play. Give me the exact outcome that will happen if I do this. But like with anything else, mamas, just like you teach your kids, you can't know the outcome. You just have to go for it. You have to try. You have to do hard things and see if it's your thing, see if it's not. Push through the hard times, push through the self-doubt, because that's the only way that you're going to grow. That's the only way you're going to break through and discover whole new parts of yourself that you never knew were there. I promise, because I am living it right now. So stop waiting for validation and give it to yourself. Question number 2. What am I afraid will happen if I say yes to myself? This is where we get to the root of the waiting. Why exactly are you sitting on this, friend? Why? In my case, I was afraid that people would think that I was neglecting my kids, or that they would think I was being a know-it-all, or that they would think I was trying to tell everyone how to mom to feel like better about myself, or I was afraid people would think that I just want to be seen. I just want attention, all these dumb things that nobody's actually ever said to me. And even if they're thinking it, if they love me, they would tell me. If they really cared about me, they would say, Jen, what are you doing? But I've gotten nothing but positive feedback. I was afraid my husband would resent the time I spent recording, or think that I was spending too much time away from the kids. I tell you what though, when I started blogging, the learning curve that I was on and trying to decipher how much time this and that would take, I did spend a lot of time on it. I stayed up late nights. I was crabby the next day. So my husband and I did have talks about the time that it was taking in those early years. But what we both discovered later, as I got older, the kids got older, I started to balance things way differently. We found a balance, basically. And I am able to confidently say that the choices I made, the creative choices I made, I learned from what not to do. And I know how to do it better now, how to make better choices, how to stop and say, what do you guys need? Does anyone need anything before I do this? Because I'm going to do this. I'm scheduling myself to record this episode. I need to have an interview with someone. And that led to me taking on digital clients and bringing in a little bit more income for our family. So all the good things that came out of me persevering through that, and the lessons I had to learn in the midst of it, were all good. They were all good. I was afraid that other homeschool moms would judge me for not being focused solely on education. I was afraid that I would fail, and that I would confirm my worst fear, that I actually wasn't capable of doing anything beyond motherhood. Write down what you're afraid of. Write down your fears. And then ask yourself, are these fears based on evidence or assumption? Is your negativity bias starting to kick in and you're looking for something to agree that you actually can't do this? You're not cut out for anything more. You should just stick to what you know. In most cases, mama, they're assumptions. We're afraid of things that haven't happened yet and probably won't happen. And question number 3, what message am I sending to my children by waiting? This one is powerful because our kids are watching, and what are they learning from us? If I kept waiting, my daughter would learn that women put themselves last. My son would learn that mothers don't have dreams worth pursuing once they become a mom. They would both learn that safety is more important than calling, that fear should dictate our decisions, and that permission from others matters more than conviction from within ourselves. When I finally started my podcast, my kids learned something different. They learned that mama had gifts beyond mothering. They learned that women can serve their families and pursue their callings. And I'm hoping they're learning that courage looks like doing something, even if you're scared to do it. The beautiful thing is, because I was able to hone my skills as a communicator and a speaker through platforms like this and public speaking in different places, I'm also able to help to train my kids and their friends in public speaking. I lead a speech and debate club. I get to train with other parents and help other adults train their kids to be unafraid, to use your voice in front of people. And you know what? If I had not pursued my calling of writing and learning about the online world and speaking messages in this arena, I would not have had the confidence to do what I'm doing now, even in my community and even with our kids' homeschool and their education. Their version of being educated would have looked way different if mama had not pursued some of her calling at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to give you simple steps for implementing this one step at a time. Okay, step 1, give yourself 15 minutes. You don't need anyone's permission to do something for 15 minutes, okay? My friend, the photographer, could have spent 15 minutes just editing one photo. My friend, the runner, 15 minutes jogging around the block. And me with my podcast, I can spend 15 minutes. I can make probably 5 videos in 15 minutes, or maybe 3 5-minute videos. It's enough. You can do enough, mom. You can do enough in 15 minutes to inch yourself along and to give yourself momentum doing the things that you actually love to do. 15 minutes does not require negotiation with your spouse or childcare for your children. Anyone can grab 15 minutes. You can find it. It's there somewhere, I promise. Step number 2, name the thing that you've been waiting to start. Write it down. Just one thing. Doesn't have to be a list. It can be a list if you get on a roll, but just list one thing for now. Say, I've been waiting to start blank. Here, I'll kickstart you with some ideas. I've been waiting to start painting again. I've been waiting to start the blog I've been thinking about for 2 years. I've been waiting to start learning Spanish. I've been waiting to start therapy. I've been waiting to start that business that I keep talking about, but I never launch. Or I've been waiting to ask someone how to help me start the project. And number 3, identify the person you've been seeking permission from and why they can't give it. This is uncomfortable, but it's necessary because you've been waiting for someone's approval. Someone. Is it your husband? Why? Why do you need his permission to pursue your interests? Is it your mother? Why? Is she living your life? Is it your friends? Why? Are they the ones who are going to stand before God in the end and take an account of your life? No, it's you. Is it society? Is it all the friends on Instagram? They will judge you no matter what you do. But the truth is, friend, that no one else can give you permission to live your life because no one else is responsible for your life. Only you are. When I realized I was waiting for my husband's permission to restart my podcast, I started to think, wait, does he need my permission to go out and surf? No. Does he need my permission to go hang out with his friends or to take up a new hobby? No, he doesn't. So why am I thinking along those lines? My husband can be supportive in what I do, but his job is not to initiate my dreams. And number 4, give yourself a start date within 7 days from now. Only a week. That's all you have to wait. Start something, even if it's small, even if it's for 15 minutes, start something new. This week. Why 7 days? Because the longer you wait, the longer it will take you to find the momentum to start. So right now, before this episode ends, tell yourself or write it down. I will spend 15 minutes on blank. What will you spend 15 minutes doing? Put it on a calendar. Treat it like a doctor's appointment. Mama, show up for yourself. That's all I'm asking you to do. Okay, here are some scripts you can use. For the mom who wants to start a business, you start by saying, I, insert your name, give myself permission to explore business ideas without having a complete plan. I give myself permission to invest time and money in my business without guilt. I give myself permission to pursue profit and purpose simultaneously. What a concept, right? I give myself permission to fail, pivot, and try again. I do not need my spouse to enthusiastically endorse every decision. I do not need my kids to be grown. I do not need financial desperation to justify my dreams. I can start now, start small, and start imperfectly. I am allowed to want more. It sounds like a conversation I had with my therapist a few months ago. Tell you what, truly. Permission slip number 2. This is for the mom who wants to invest in her health. I, insert your name, give myself permission to prioritize my physical and mental health without apology. I give myself permission to spend money on a gym membership, therapy, coaching, or medical care. I give myself permission to take time for exercise, rest, and self-care without labeling it as selfish. I give myself permission to hire help, ask my spouse to step up, or let things go so I can care for my body and mind. My health is not a luxury. It is a necessity. I am allowed to be healthy. Permission slip number 3. For the homeschool mom who wants to pursue something beyond teaching, I, insert your name, give myself permission to be more than my children's teacher. I give myself permission to have interests, work, and purposes beyond their education. I give myself permission to outsource subjects, use online curriculum, or adjust our schedules so I have time for myself. I give myself permission to pursue my calling while still homeschooling well. My worth is not determined by how many hours I spend directly teaching. My children benefit from a fulfilled mother, not a martyred one. I am allowed to be a whole person. Last one. Ready? Permission slip number 4. This is for the mom who wants to set boundaries with extended family. I, insert your name, give myself permission to set boundaries with extended family without guilt. I give myself permission to say no to events, traditions, or expectations that don't serve my immediate family. I give myself permission to parent differently than my parents did. I give myself permission to protect my time, energy, and peace, even if it disappoints others. I give myself permission to prioritize my family's needs over others' opinions. I am allowed to lead my family my way. And last but not least, Mama, how does this message of giving yourself permission relate to our 3 pillars: courage, confidence, and calling? Courage. It takes courage to give yourself permission when the world is telling you to wait. It takes courage to disappoint people who benefit from your self-denial. And it takes courage to model self-advocacy for your children. Think about it. Every time you wait for permission, you're choosing comfort over courage. You're choosing to avoid potential criticism, potential conflict, potential failure. But remember that courage is not the absence of fear, Mama. It's action despite the fear. Confidence. Your confidence grows when you honor your own desires without external validation. When you prove to yourself that you can trust your own judgment. When you stop outsourcing your worth, because truly confidence comes when you take action. After you take action, without knowing the outcome, you start first, and that builds confidence as you go. Every time you give yourself permission to follow through on something, it's like you're making a confidence deposit in that bank. You're proving to yourself that you're trustworthy, that your desires matter, and that you're capable. And over time, all those trust deposits will compound, just like money in a bank does. And you become a woman who doesn't need permission because you trust yourself completely. You can get to that point where you're not second guessing every move, where you don't have to wait for everyone else's answer to make a confident choice. It's possible. And your calling includes but is not limited to motherhood. You were created with gifts and purposes and dreams that matter. And giving yourself permission isn't selfish, because you're basically stewarding the life that you've been given. I believe deeply that we've been given specific callings, gifts, and assignments. Motherhood is one of mine, but it's not the only one. I'm also called to encourage women to speak truth, to build business, to create content. And when I waited for permission to actually pursue those things, it was like I was being disobedient. I was suppressing my own real self. I was burying my talents instead of multiplying them. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Your calling matters. Your dreams matter. Your gifts, they matter. And they don't just disappear because you've become a mother. So here it is, Mama. Here's your permission slip. You are allowed to want more. You're allowed to pursue your dreams. You're allowed to invest in yourself. And you don't need anyone else to sign off on your life. So whatever it is, you are allowed. Ready, set, go. If you want to dive deeper into where your personal callings and dreams may be taking you, download my Dream Reconnection journal. You will love it because it's got such easy prompts to follow. You can treat it like a 7-day journal. You can do it once a week if you want. You can get through it in a whole day if you really buckle down and want to do that. but the exercises really don't take longer than 15 minutes. So go to the show notes and get my Dream Reconnection journal. You will be so glad that you did. I have a digital version and a printed version. Actually, I have 2 versions of the printed version, the big journal size one and the little pocket size one for your purse. And they are so fun because they're colorful. They have space for you to write. Every entry page is different. So if you're watching me flip through it on YouTube right now, you can see what I mean. I've made it comfy and cozy just for you, and you're going to want your own copy. So pick up the Dream Reconnection Journal today. And one final reminder, Mama, share this episode. If it's something that has touched you, if it's helped you to start rethinking again about who you really are and you think another mom friend would benefit, just go ahead and share this episode from wherever you're watching, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, my blog, wherever you're watching from. And I cannot wait to reconnect with you next week here at the Enough Mom Podcast, where you have the courage to be confident in your calling. Bye-bye.